jobs he had. You can find those anywhere on the internet, and you can also wait to find out about it next year when you're sophomores. Today, we're just going to go over some basic type things that you need to know about Shakespeare and some things that you'll need to better understand his poetry. All right, so here we go. The first thing you need to know about Shakespeare's sonnets is that he wrote 154 of them, and that's the general consensus of the number of poems. Um, the first 17 of his poems are all written to the fair youth, but they're specifically called the procreation poems because they're written about a fair youth, and he's urging the youth to go out and have babies, right? Not sleep around, but go out and find a wife and settle down and become a father, and before he gets too old and decrepit, right, like the speaker is. The next 100, or the first 126, we call them, are called the fair youth poems, and these are poems that Shakespeare wrote about a fair youth, and we don't really know who that youth is. We don't even know if it's really supposed to be Shakespeare speaking or if there's a narrator who's saying these things. We don't know if the narrator talking to the youth is just admires the guy because, he's wealthy and he's a good friend, or if, they're kind of more than just friends. Most people have sort of declared that it's not a sexual relationship, but you'll still find some people who say that it is. Okay. After that first 126, there are other poems. There's that other, 20 or around 18, I guess, if you want to do the math, which are directed towards all sorts of feelings and emotions. And there are some towards a rival poet and a dark lady. The dark lady is a woman who's married and who is seducing the narrator. So if you're thinking that all those 126 are outweighed by the 3 or 4 dark lady ones, I don't know where to weigh in on that. But I can tell you that the dark lady poems are definitely physical in nature and talk about being seduced by this older woman. So we definitely know that if it is representing Shakespeare, he at least has that side of him as well as the first, if you inclined to believe that. But knowing that he's writing these first 126 to a guy kind of changes the nature of some of these poems. Here's an example. The most famous sonnet of all, at least the beginning of it, "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? Thou art more lovely and more temperate." That was written for a dude. There's nothing wrong with that, either way, if you think it is a sexual thing. But you need to realize that it's not a love poem. It is like about friendship, that sort of love, but it's not a romantic love poem. And if you read the rest of it, then you'd actually see that. And even says his. Look, it says his right in the middle of it. So realize that if you're going to cover some of the poems out of the first 126, that it's talking about a man. Otherwise, you'll misread it completely.